Hello, boys and girls. This is Miss Seal again, my book club friends. I hope you had the chance to view my previous video and do some of the activities that I asked you to do. We talked a lot about friendship and how do two people become friends. One thing that I forgot to point out, and I thought about this after I'd already posted the video, was why did the conversation of friendship even begin? Was it just because Red was reflecting on his friendship with Bongo? Why was that even presented in our story? And as we know, because in the beginning of chapter 21 that we're going to discuss today, Red really wants to grant the wish of Samar. And if you recall, her wish was that she would have a friend. Now, as I reflect on someone making a wish for anything in the world they could want, and the one thing that she wanted was a friend, that tells us a little bit about Samar's character, and that, number one, for some reason or the other, she's lonely. Maybe she's shy, maybe she doesn't make friends easily. We don't know why that's her wish, but as we begin chapter 21, there's a conversation between Red and Bongo, and Red tells Bongo, I want to grant Samar's wish. Now, Bongo really meets Red with a little bit resistance because Bongo reminds Red, hey, you're passive. You are the one who collects the wishes, but you don't intervene in the human world. But of course, Bongo ultimately agrees to help Red because they are their best friends. So a little bit in the chapter, on page 88, Red says, I want to grant Samar's wish. This roused Bongo. She fluttered down to her favorite branch, the one she'd nicknamed Home Plate. Bongo likes to watch the kids play softball at the elementary school. Red, you don't make wishes happen. You're the place where wishes go. You're like a leafy garbage can in a good way. For 216 rings, I've sat on my roots and listened to people hope for things. And a lot of times those wishes never happened, I'm guessing. Bongo tucked a feather into place. Sometimes that's for the best. Remember that kindergartner who wanted a bulldozer? I'm passive. I just sit here watching the world. You're a tree, Red. That's kind of in the job description. This is a good wish, and it's a wish that I can make happen. I paused. Well, we can make happen. So Bongo plays a big role in anything that Red has to accomplish. And if you think about that for a minute, why would Red need someone to help grant a wish? Well, number one, if you think of a tree, can a tree move? No. Red is in a position where, he can't move around. He can't do things on his own. So he needs the help of his friend, the crow, Bongo. Also in the chapter, the creatures are starting to discuss possible replacements for where they can live, and they do a little bit of arguing back and forth of where they could go. They're trying to prepare themselves, even though Red is still feels pretty safe, but the creatures, of course, if you had to move from your home, you would want to know that you would have somewhere else to go. In chapter 22, Red comes up with two plans, and we don't know both plans, but plan number one is he starts to execute. Now remember, I will call Red a he or a she because in the book, you can refer to the tree as a he or a she. So if I go back and forth, just Just go with it. We executed plan number 1 an hour and a half later when Stephen headed off to school. And here was plan number 1. When Bongo basically goes down and starts agitating Stephen, messing with his zipper. And, of course, Stephen thinks, oh, he wants something to eat. When crows want to get loud, they can be extremely loud. So Stephen starts like, what? What do you want? Get away from me, shoo. Now, I don't know about you, but if a crow was like attacking my belongings, I would probably run away. I think Stephen showed a lot of bravery here for letting the crow do his thing, but I would have, like, here, you have it. I would have run away. How would you have dealt with that situation? Because I know what I would have done. I would have run. Bongo landed on the backpack, looking up at him hopefully. Chip, please, she said. Stephen rolled his eyes. Seriously? Hello, Bongo said. Chip, please. Stephen put his hands on his hips. Okay, fine. I've seen you in action, working the bus line. Bongo hopped to the ground as Stephen unzipped the backpack. You rock, she said politely. Stephen pulled out his lunch bag and opened it. Let's see, I've got a tuna fish sandwich, carrot sticks. But before he could say anything more, Bongo plunged into the backpack, grabbed a sheet of paper, and flew skyward. And as we find in the chapter, that was Stephen's English homework. And so Bongo takes Stephen's homework. And then we find in chapter 23 that the plan was to get the homework in the hands of Samar. And so that Samar would, Red and Bongo, knowing Samar like they did, they knew that she would give the homework to Stephen. So in chapter 23, Bongo executes a wonderful plan in which she brings Stephen's English homework to Samar. The idea is that she will be able to return the homework to Stephen, and this will lead them to laugh and joke all about the things they have in common. But does that happen? No. Because Samar, I think we can get the impression about Samar that she's kind of a shy, timid girl. So she sees a friend of Stephen's and she gives him the homework for him to give to Stephen. Which, there goes plan number 1. It didn't work. So, but that, of course, agitates Bongo a little bit. But it doesn't stop Red from the cause of trying to get these two, of granting Samar's wish of finding a friend for her. Chapter 24. That afternoon, we tried plan number 2. This isn't going to work, Red, Bongo said, strutting back and forth on the lawn. Now, a couple of our vocabulary words we've talked about. Pessimist, I said. Optimist, she replied. And remember, we talked about this earlier. A pessimist is someone who kind of always sees the bad side or has maybe a negative energy. And then an optimist is someone who always sees the good side or the bright side of things. So the pessimist in our story right now is Bongo. As soon as he hears the plan, he doesn't even think about it working. He's like, nope, not going to work. The optimist, of course, is Red. And I want you to think about those two words a minute. And I've had to think about these two words a lot in my lifetime. Are you more of a pessimist or are you more of an optimist? When your teacher gives you, I know for me, I was never really good in math. And so whenever my teacher would teach us something new in math, I would always kind of be negative about it. And I would say things like, ugh, I don't like math. Things like that. Are you more of someone who takes the negative approach to things? Or are you optimistic when you're presented with something new that you don't know a lot about? Well, you know what? I'm going to try and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to learn this and it's going to be okay. And if I need help, I'm going to find help. So are you more of a Bongo or are you more of a Red? I think there's been times in my life that I've definitely been Red where I'm like, yes, we can do this. But there's definitely been times in my life when I've been more like the Bongo, like, That's crazy. We can't do it. No way. Secretly, I had my doubts, though. Our second plan required help from one of the babies, and the babies they're referring to are the possums. There'd been much bickering over which baby would get to assist us, but then there had been plenty of bickering ever since Francesca's threat to cut me down. It's frustrated me to see my residents, the one who'd miraculously been getting along so well, turn on one another when faced with a problem. Granted, it was a big problem, but if I could handle it, it seemed like the least they could do was behave during our last days together. Bongo flipped a penny that she kept in her collection of treasures and arrived at our helper, the smallest baby possum, Flashlight. Let me get this straight, said Bongo. You're afraid of Flash? Shh, Harry Spiders hissed. We try not to say that word around him. So what do you actually call him? Agnes asked. He answers to Flash, Harry Spiders explained. Well, Flash, said Bongo, you understand the drill, right? You pretend to be dead. You guys are good at that, right? Flash nodded excitedly. Possums are the best dead pretenders in the world. So you play dead. Samar and Steven see you as they're coming home from school. We're hoping they come home at about the same time today, I interrupted. And they freak out, Bongo continued. See the cute little maybe dead baby. Talk about what to do. Are you certain this is safe? Asked Harry Spiders. I'm feeling a little faint just thinking about it. Well, I'll be watching, and Steven and Samar are smart kids, I reassured her. They'll know not to touch a sick animal. So they go to their parents, call a wildlife rescue, maybe a vet, and while they're busy, Bongo continued, like Flash runs back to his den. Samar and Steven come back out, have a good laugh about the vanishing possum. Maybe the parents even get to talking. I really think you would do a better job, Big U complained. She's a born actor. Or you. This has been officially decided, Bongo said firmly. We flipped the penny, remember? Just saying, Big U muttered. Down the street, the school dismissal bell rang. Places, everyone, Bongo urged. This is totally going to work, I said. This is totally going to fail, Bongo said at the very same instant. So, in chapter 24, they practice, we see what they're going to do, and then in chapter 25, Flash plays dead, but gets a little silly and he starts to hiccup and he can't get the hiccups to stop. Have you ever been in that situation? Maybe it's because of nerves. Maybe it's because, I know for me, sometimes I get the hiccups when I eat too fast because that air gets trapped down there. And then hiccups can be very hard to get rid of, even when you're trying to drink water. And so Flash falls over. Samar and Steven happen upon Flash. They barely talk, but agree to get their parents to call animal control. So part of the plan is working. They go into their separate houses, and the animals can't get Flash off the ground. Finally, just as the door to Steven's house opens, Red yells for all the animals to take cover, and they all scatter. So, do you think the plan worked? I think it was definitely a start to at least they did come together and they talked to each other. And of course, talking is, it's the beginning of a friendship. So, your homework for next time, and I'll probably get back on here, I'm thinking again, maybe Friday, so it gives you several days. You will read chapters 26, 27, 28, 29, and chapter 30. And we will see what happens. But I do have something fun that I want you to do. Yesterday I went on a hike with my family, and I just got to enjoy the nature, and I saw a lot of trees. And honestly, a lot of the trees were down. There were a lot of trees that had fallen down, I think, from this storm. We were on some TVA property. And I saw some really big roots where a tree had completely been uprooted. I saw a tree that in the storm had literally gotten twisted. So it was really cool to observe those things. And I got to thinking how a little nature scavenger hunt might be fun for you. So I'm going to send this picture to your parents via the Remind app. And it's just a fun little scavenger hunt. I actually did something like this with my son last week, and we're going to do this one today. You don't have to go to a park, which I think all our parks are closed right now, but just these are items you can find in your backyard. Take a walk in your neighborhood, of course, with your parents, and see how many of these that you can collect and find. And I'd really like for you to report back to me if you can. On the Remind app, your parents can message me and I can message you back. So I'd really like to get some feedback on what you did, what you collected, where you went. Did you stay home? Did you go out for a little hike somewhere? And just, you know, this book, it really puts me in the nature loving mood. And I think that's why I chose to read this book in the springtime, because, you know, everything's in bloom. It's pretty outside. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. And we really have a good opportunity to enjoy nature. And something else I want you to do is, if you have trees in your yard, think about maybe, you know, which one of those trees is maybe your favorite tree. There's a tree directly out here in my backyard. I'll try to take a picture and show it to you. But I've taken lots of pictures out by that tree. It's a really big tree. It's a pin oak. We have, our property is lined with pin oak trees. So just take some time to enjoy nature and look around you and enjoy this time of year. And above all, continue to read. Some of you may have already finished the book. I hope you will participate in our discussions. If you have any questions about the chapters, please have your parents message me, and I'll do that by Friday so that I can put that in my video. If you have any just comments that you'd like to make, maybe you want to make a comment about Bongo being a pessimist. Why do you think Bongo is a pessimist? Maybe if you could think, another thing I was thinking about is, if you were trying to get Stephen and Samar together, how would you go about doing it? Would you have done it differently than Red's plan? You know, to be a tree and to be a crow, I think they came up with some pretty good plans. I thought they were pretty clever. But, you know, send me some messages so that we can have some discussion on these videos. I'm going to pop on here. Again, I'm going to show you all of our wish trees that you guys created. We did those the last week we were together, and you guys did a great job on making your own wish trees. So I'm just going to get on here and show you all of the wish trees that were created by your friends, because I think it would be fun for you to see those. I hope this is a great beginning to your week. I hope you are learning new things, enjoying the sunshine, and especially enjoying this time with your family. Have a great day, boys and girls. I look forward to hearing your feedback and your comments and your questions, and I will answer those on our video. So have a good day, guys.